Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the weekend edition of Trader Merlin. Hope you all had a fantastic trading week, as I did. A lot of exciting stuff happening. We're going to have a lot to talk about in today's show. So cheers, everybody. I see someone asking what the recommendation was. I'm going with Michter's today. Michter's one of my favorite bourbons. It's just bang for your buck. Blanton's is probably the better one, but that's just over-commercialized stuff. So cheers, everybody. Oh, happy Friday. Okay. Let's get started. We got a ton of questions I need to get through, and I, of course, got to give props to everybody out there. Here is my graphic. I had a whole bunch of different graphic ideas, but this is the one I ended up with, just some electrical-looking charges and financial markets there. So, spending the 19th hole with me. Awesome. Good to see you, Big Eb. Hope you had a good day as well. So, I'm going to just dive right into viewer questions, comments, and things like that. Of course, many of you commenting on my Go EV move. I don't know if you guys saw that one today. Talk about getting lucky, right place, right time. We'll see if that one continues. But I want to go with, no, it's the bourbon. It's the bourbon. The rye is pretty good as well, yeah, but I like the bourbon. Let me start with this one since it was a bittersweet day for me. I really wanted silver to close under $23, but we closed at $23.03. Whoever bought those options from me lost money, so that's fine. I made money, which is fine. But Eric said, if you get any of your silver taken away, will you share with us your actual price you were in the silver and break it down that you were assigned, and how many plays against it, and how much premium you got from those? So I kind of was graphing all this stuff out for the inevitability that I was going to get taken away at $22.50. I didn't do it for the bulk of the shares, but those are actually better numbers anyway. So let me walk you through the way that it all happened for me. And I went back through and looked at all my trade logs, trying to make sure I got every date right here. But this trade started back at the end of August. And I sold 40 puts, which basically equates to 4,000 shares, and collected 23 cents worth of premium. At the time, those are $21.50 put options, which gave me over a 1% rate of return for a little less than a month. So all in all, that was a decent trade for me in my 1% account. That's fine. On the 15th of September, I was put those shares, and I will bring up SLV here so you guys can see kind of I'll move this over to the origin date when I started selling these call option or puts and calls. So here's your graphic showing the last, almost 7 months now. So this one trade here for me, 7 months this trade has been on. And, a lot of people think, well, it really hasn't done much. It's kind of traversed sideways. But in reality, when you look at the final numbers, it's actually pretty damn good. And I didn't calculate the actual rate of return. Maybe one of you can do that for me at the end of this, because I can't do 15 things at once. As you can see, I messed up the other day with my guest and turned my microphone off. So it started off with that initially collecting 23 cents, and then all of a sudden I was put those shares. That next week, I sold 40 calls against it at 35 cents. Really close to at the money. And basically, I just kept selling calls relatively close to price, but trying to get that 1%. You can see some months I got a little bit more, but I got 35 cents, then 22, and then 23, and then 31. The last one I did, I got 19 cents because price was moving up, and I just did the 22.50 call options on the 14th of February. And that ended up being the one that took away my share. So what did it all break down? Well, the numbers look like this. Cost basis is $21.50 per share is what I was put those shares back in September. Now, from that, if you add up all the premium I collected $1.53 worth of premium, which now makes, of course, if you can do the math here, my dollar cost average price based off this is going to be right around $19.97. All right, so now looking even better. But let's not forget that I gained $1 per share. Remember, I was out of this at $22.50. So I sold 40. Yeah, sorry, it might be a little bit misleading, Lisa. Yeah, I sold 40 call options against my position at different strike prices. I didn't sell the 40 strike. No, there'd be no premium in the $40 strike for SLV because it's trading at $22. So yeah, I sold 40 calls against my 4,000 shares that I was long, therefore saying I'd like to get rid of it if it got to a certain price. And generally, I was adding in an extra, 1% per month, hopefully on that. So as this thing kind of moved up, obviously I'm going higher and higher. I didn't really want it to be taken away. But if you look at this, this is the total gain per share. So total profit per share, I gained $2.53 per share on the silver trade. So all in all, It worked out. I would have liked to have still held it and got into even more and more and more and more. But it is what it is. So ultimately, when you look at the numbers, the total gain on that for a 7-month window of time was $6,120 worth of total gain after everything. Yeah, Carrie, I'm here. Hey, Carrie, is anybody out there? So there's the answer to your question for Eric. That's the breakdown. And what's interesting, that was that 4,000 share block. Of course, I had a lot more, but the bulk of my position in a variety of other accounts. Those were somewhere at 2150, but a bulk of that was actually at 2150 and 2050. So those actually have an even lower cost basis. And I got out at 23, which of course you guys saw it hit today. I've been optimistic that silver is going to rally. I didn't see it rallying this much. I mean, this is a pretty phenomenal rally for SLV for the past, 2 weeks. If you go from the bottom to the peak there, this run starting on February 28th to where we are today, to where we peaked today, that's a 13.8% move. That's quite a bit. Now, one good thing here for me, obviously, I didn't want to get out of it, and a bulk of my, my other accounts, I've got a lot more silver. This is 4,000 in this account that I was, tracking for you, but I've got a lot in other accounts. All my silver. All of it, all my silver is now gone. However, you guys tell me, what do you think of the price chart of silver today? What is this chart telling you? You guys type in the chat, what do you think? What is it saying about silver right now? Excuse me while I take a sip of whiskey off camera to drown my cough here. But what does that look like to you? You've had this really big surge up. Now, some people were saying short squeeze. I don't know if I necessarily buy the short squeeze in silver. You had fairly elevated volume today. Now, it's not, climactic volume, but it certainly was high volume, reflecting emotion. Steve, it's actually the opposite. This is a shooting star. A hammer would be at the bottom of a downtrend. A shooting star is an inverted hammer is what this is called up here. And that would indicate a reversal. Yeah, and the good part here, Steve, is if this does pan out and do what I think it's going to do, I'm not going to sell I'm not going to sell puts on Monday. This looks like it's poised for a sell-off, a pullback. And I would love to buy back into silver at 22. I mean, hell, dump it at 22.50, dump it at 23, and then buy back at lower price. That's the dream of a trader, right? Sell it to somebody at a high price and buy it back lower a few days later. So keep your eye on silver here and gold, but that shooting star on it, yeah, it's right near this high we achieved back in December of last year. So I actually like this as a potential short on Monday. Top of silver trading in a rent. Yep. So a lot of factors here lead me to think we might see this thing come ripping down. So while I'm upset that all my silver's gone, right? I didn't want to end that gravy train, which has been good to me for a while. All of a sudden, I'm now going, great, I'm out. I want this thing to fall apart, and I'll sell some more puts here. Maybe we'll see what happens mid next week with regards to these puts. With regards to the price falling down, do I look at this 22 level as a buy point? I kind of think I do. I don't think silver's going to fall apart. I think, as I've mentioned, January 1st, I think the inflation discussion is going to get worse this year. I think we're going to start to see all of a sudden people freaking out about inflation getting higher again. Peter Schiff is calling for over 9% inflation coming here soon. I don't know about that, but do I see inflation ticking up to 4, 5, maybe 6%? Yeah, I do. That commodity sell-off, which is a big factor in fixing our inflation numbers temporarily, they're going the opposite way now. So silver will technically benefit from an inflation debate and inflation discussion. So I think we'll get a pullback here next week. I may start selling those 22s again and get my position in silver built back up, but I will let you guys know as that goes forward. So there you go. Closure to my silver. That trade, wipe your hands, done with it. A lot of my stuff expired worthless today. I mentioned several times I've got a bunch of puts. I had Rivian. All right, I sold some Rivian puts at a $10 strike price. That was taken away from me. That was a great one. Very high yield for a short period of time. The chart doesn't look that great, but who cares? I was only doing it for a few weeks. So Rivian I'm out of. I have Palo Alto Networks. My puts on that, of course, expiring worthless. What else did I have? As far as puts expiring worthless today. Oh, XLB. This is when you look at it and you go, why didn't you just buy the damn thing? I sold puts back here on this big down day because it was kind of in this area of demand, and I'm just regretting it, of course, because damn it. This thing went from 81 bucks to 91 bucks, and I felt like building materials going to have a rally going into summer months. So, is what it is. But those are also expiring worthless. I'll collect my 1.5% premium on that one. And then really, did you guys see the Go EV? Oh my goodness. Go EV today, one of the biggest gainers in the market today. 48% move up in Go EV. I don't have a ton of it, you guys. I told you I have earmarked 5,000 for it. I've only deployed 2,800. I have 2,500 shares of it. So 2,500 shares at $1.31 is my average. So let me just, I don't even know my number. Let's go 1.31 times 2,500. So I've got 3,200 bucks in it already. And of course, I have a total amount of 5,000 that I'm willing to buy into that. But yeah, big day up for it today. I don't really know all the factors behind it, but I'm happy to see it. No, this is the opposite. This is GOEV, Go EV. So, I mean, obviously, I would love for this to keep on going. I kind of feel like it's going to snap back up to its moving average here, but you never know. The company really is it's in trouble. It'll be a long shot if they make it. But again, I think they have a lot of interesting products. They just released another design called the American Bulldog, which is a pretty cool looking truck. I have orders. I put my reservations in for 2 of them, the lifestyle vehicle and their pickup truck. So we'll see. I hope they make it, not only because now I have shares and I have a vested interest in their success, but I really want to get their vehicle. It's something that's completely different. And in my youth growing up, I was always that kind of weirdo kid that wore stuff. You're like, what the hell's that guy wearing? Because I like it. I don't really care what people think. So I would gladly drive around this very weird-looking, unique vehicle. Did I consider the options? No, I did not. I honestly haven't even looked to see if there are options. I wouldn't imagine there are with the $3 or $1 security. Has those kind of candles? Well, it's going to, because what happened now is they went from like hundreds of millions of shares to now I think there's 21 million shares because they did a 23-for-1 reverse split. So their share numbers got cut down drastically. Look, let me real quickly look at the market capitalization. I have not looked at this as of today, but let me just dial this in here real quick and do this stuff live. I don't know if I was cute. I was just the weirdo, man. I remember. One sec. Let me type this in. I remember. What's his name? MC Hammer was really big, and parachute pants were all the rage. And we went to a wedding. I'm from Northern California, so we went to this wedding in Southern California. And my mom took me to a shoe store and said, okay, you got to get some new shoes for the wedding. And she's like, you can get whatever you want. And I'm like, really? She said, you can get whatever you want. I said, okay. So I ended up going to this wedding in parachute pants, and there was the same parachute pants material shoes. I think they were women's shoes, and they had all kinds of zippers all over them, and I thought I was kind of the coolest little kid in town. In hindsight, I probably would have laughed at myself, but bravo to my mom and dad for saying, you be you, son. You do what you want to do. I think I turned out okay. All right, so here is the number of shares outstanding. So they've got 28 million shares outstanding. That's not a lot, especially if you think about their current valuation, at let's say $2. Well, that real quick calculation there will show you their market capitalization is pretty damn low. Now, of course, you have to look at the debt. They've got a market cap of $110 million. $110 million. Right, that's a drop in the bucket for Tesla. I mean, this could be a very attractive target because they have a full production line going on in contract. So I was definitely styling. Anyway, I was looking at the market cap today thinking, man, this thing becomes a very attractive candidate if the prices keep dropping. But the big consideration here is going to be, what is their debt? Anyway, I got lucky on that one. I still think it'll be a long shot to really turn the corner, but I'm gambling on them turning the corner. That's why this is my gamble account. All right, so that was, I did the silver question for Eric. I walked you through the transactions on that so you could see kind of the total numbers. Let me go into a few more questions here, and then I'll open it up and turn it over to you guys. Actually, let me see. They're made in Oklahoma. Yeah, so one of their factories is in Oklahoma. One of them is in Texas, and then, of course, their headquarters out here in California. But from everything I've been seeing, and I don't know what to believe, honestly, people can make up so much fake information. It's crazy. But they do have deals with several city offices in Oklahoma. And now they built this, it's called the American Bulldog truck, which they're going to try to pitch to the DOD. Let me see. I see if they have a picture. American Bulldog canoe. It's a weird looking truck, but you know, this battery powered craze. I don't know, maybe it is a good thing. Here's the Bulldog. We're gonna bring a picture up for you. This is their new vehicle that they just released. I know it's a weird looking truck, but it's got a flatbed, fully functional. This thing opens up and does so many different things. They actually have one model that has bulletproof siding all the way around it, which of course is good for military. It's a crew cab that fits 5 very comfortably with suicide doors on the back. But anyway, yeah, we'll see how that all pans out. Who knows? That's all pipe dreams if they can even round the corner. Not much debt. I didn't look at that, Naum. My concern is that they may be too debt-laden and can't turn the corner. If they can get a couple of contracts and procure production, then they can turn that corner, and then my small investment here could be pretty good. It's a weird one, right, Steve? It's a really weird vehicle, but if you look at the design features, yeah, that's true, Lisa. It's not as weird as the Tesla truck. Totally agree. I'd take this over a Tesla truck any day. I feel like this is going to be much more practical. It doesn't have the cool, like, ooh, sci-fi factor, but I don't care. I'm a functionality person. All right, let me go to a couple more questions here, and then I will go to all yours. So get them all ready. Mark F. Put this, I believe, on the YouTube channel. He says, how does pre-market and after-hours trading work? Who's trading during those times and why? Seems like a lot of manipulation may occur during those times. Okay, so here's the gist of it. It really depends on which market you're talking about, but let's just assume we're talking about the equity markets. When you look at a price chart, and we'll pick anything. Let's go Tesla. All right, Tesla. You look at that price chart. These candles reflect only what's going on during regular market hours, right? Whatever's going on between that 6:30 a.m. open and the 1 p.m. close in California, that is all that this chart reflects. However, if you switch this into a 5-minute time frame, and you'll get these shaded areas. And of course, if you don't see this when you go to your trading view, if you don't see the shaded areas, what you want to do is go down here at the bottom. You see it says ETH. That's not Ethereum. That stands for extended trading hours. You can turn that to regular. So this is normal with no after hours. ETH extended. So what I'll do is I'm going to add volume on this so you can see the real big difference here. Notice that the spikes of volume at the bottom are predominantly during the white areas. That's when the market's open. Anything in gold or whatever color that is, that's the market closed. So to answer your question, Mark, who is trading there? Anybody can trade there. The rule is for the equity markets, a market maker like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, anybody who's an institution and registered as a market maker has to technically make a market, meaning they must always, at all times during regular market hours, have a buy order and a sell order. Now, it doesn't mean those prices need to be competitive. They don't have to be the best price, but they have to be quoting some price in the market, and that helps add liquidity. It's the order book. When that bell rings at 1 p.m. Pacific time, they're not required to have any orders out there, and they pull their orders, so all of a sudden the liquidity disappears. Who's trading in that? Well, let's say that you're sitting there and you're driving to work. It's 3 o'clock in the morning California time, and you see a big fire at the Tesla factory, and it's just absolutely engulfed in flames. That's firsthand news. You could log in just open up your phone. You could go into these trading platforms, go to extended hours trading, change your order type to like a day plus or GTC plus. You gotta have the plus. Once you do that, you can now trade in those after hour sessions. But remember, liquidity is usually gone. So, if you really want out of something, you can get out of it. But you most likely are not going to get a good price simply because there is almost no liquidity. You can see that on the bottom of your chart here. I will just show you what happened to Tesla before market. So at 6 o'clock this morning, Tesla traded a total of 12,000 shares. 6:10, 7,000 shares. 6:20, 10 minutes before the open, 9,000 shares. The minute it opened, 163. So the liquidity is far greater during regular market hours. And the minute we close today, the last 5 minutes of the day, the regular hours today, Tesla traded 179,000 shares. And the minute it closed, 5,000. So you got to be really careful, because if you're swinging a big position, let's say 5,000-6,000 shares of something, in regular market, it could be absorbed very easily. But as soon as you start trading that in the after hours, you could really move markets. And you cannot use a market order in after hours sessions, right? They've changed that because of people like me. Years ago, I used to be predatory, if you will, and take advantage of people that put market orders out after hours because they just didn't know what they were doing. So, no, you cannot use market orders, Margaret. You have to use limit orders, and for a good reason. Because people like me, Here, let me see if I can do a graphic to explain what happened here and why they will not let you use market orders after hours. Hold on a second. I got to bring up a screen here for you. Where's that? This is Mark F's question. I got to put a blank screen on here. And let me see. Let's add in a screen. And I will show you layout, make it white. Okay. So sorry about that. Here we go. I'll do a little drawing lesson. Get my pen ready and get over for art class here. All right, so here's the way it works. Yeah, you can, if you're doing any stops, they have to be a limit. Yeah, you cannot use anything with a market is verboten. Okay, so let's just say here we've got our bid and you've got your ask, all right? I apologize for the penmanship, but you guys don't understand how crowded my space is right here, and yeah, it's a pain. And let's say that the current bid is $100, even by, I'll just do $101. Right, so you get a $1 spread, and this is regular market hours. And let's say there's plenty of volatility. Everything is going well, and it looks fantastic. And you have orders that go all the way down here to, let's say, I don't know, $75. And you have orders over here that go, mind you, it's line, and there's hundreds of people here. And let's say it goes up to 150. Okay, so you've got, right now, the inside bid and ask is $100 by 101. Everything is fine and dandy right there, right? It looks great. And that's during regular market hours. But everybody that's making a bid up here is most likely a market maker or someone using one of these electronic networks. So it's all very liquid and somewhat transparent. The second that market closes, nobody here is required to be bidding and offering anymore. So all of a sudden, you could get, the bid is 75 and the ask is 150. So what I would do is I would put a bid to buy when I was trading these active hours. Let me go back here, go to pen. This would be me. Even though I know that the price when the market closed was $100 and it will probably open up there again tomorrow, because liquidity is so low, some fool that doesn't know the rules says, oh, I'll do a market sell. And because no one's there, it used to fall down to my price, fill me at $75. And then what I would do instantly in the after-hour session is I would take my $75, let's say I bought 1,000 shares, right? 1,000 shares at $75. I would immediately come over here and I would undercut this guy and I'd say, I'll sell it for $149. And if someone was dumb enough to put a market buy order, they'd buy it for $149, even though tomorrow morning it'll probably open up at 100. That makes sense, everybody? That's why they don't let you use market orders after hours. You have to use a stop limit or limit orders to buy anything because of people like me. And I feel bad on one hand, like, oh, that's illegal. It was not illegal. I just knew the tools of the trade at the time and people didn't. Now that stopped, I want to say in 2001 when they started doing that. It technically can't trade around the inside bid and ask, and you have to use limit orders. So again, liquidity is a huge piece here, particularly if you're trading something that doesn't have a lot of liquidity anyway during regular market hours. It's exponentially higher in the after hours. That makes sense, everyone? Hope that did. Yeah, no problem. Again, this is one of those. I feel like if I was if we were all mechanics right now, I just explained to you compression ratios of your carburetors. The vast majority of people don't care. Like, right? Who cares? Who cares how all this functions? It matters to you, especially if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, I want to get out of this position. Something happened right after the market closed. And you're like, oh, I don't want this anymore. You got to know how to be able to get out. You got to use a limit order and know that you're at risk because of liquidity. All right, so good. Hopefully for Mark, who sent in that question, I hope that answered that question. Let's see, what else do I have? Joseph. Oh, this is a good one. And thank you, Joseph. This really wasn't a question. I just want to go after a couple topics that I've been addressing here recently. One of those topics that I keep talking about, and I believe more about this today than I ever have, is we are witnessing a financial upgrade. I did, Carrie. I did very well doing that. We're witnessing a systemic upgrade of our financial systems, not just the trading, but also banking systems, I believe, are upgrading their current infrastructure, and that's why I'm so excited about digital assets. We all know that at this point. One of the things I love about it is we know the settlement times for things like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's 10 minutes. Ripple, 4 seconds. Solana, call it 2 to 4 seconds. We know the settlement times. But when you trade, we're using a system that was developed in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, which is the way that reporting happened on the back end. There's absolutely no reason that if I buy something right now and sell it 10 minutes later, that money would not be available to me. There's no reason for that today. However, the system is antiquated. So if you make a trade, and if you're not a pattern day trader, and let's say you buy $10,000 worth of stock today, and you sell that $10,000 worth of stock today, you'll get your money back in what's called T1, T2, or T3. That means you have to wait how many days to get your money back. Now, currently it's T2, which means you have to wait 2 days to be able to use that $10,000 plus whatever gains you had on that trade. That is moronic. It doesn't make any sense. So Schwab issued this release the other day. It says the trade settlement period will be shortened to 1 day beginning May 28th, 2024. Trades executed on or after May 28th will settle on the next business day, T+1, for most U.S. and Canadian securities traded on U.S. exchanges. Currently, their settlement period is 2 business days after the trade date. That is just ridiculous that Schwab is even having to release this statement. It should be what's called T0. T0, because most of the settlement stuff now is done on, yeah, exactly, Pepe. Pepe says one of the reasons I love futures. Absolutely. It's stupid. They have the same basic system. So why would it be that your stock trades have to be held up for 2 days to be recorded? It's going to be recorded electronically and instantly. My gut tells me that this was built when, you had to take the trade, pass the piece of paper to Rosie, the trade manager, and she would take it off to Mildred, who was doing all the record keeping, and then they gave that to Ken, who put it into a spreadsheet and said, okay, and that might take 3 days. But we are so much further down the road now that the fact that they still have a settlement period of even 1 day is ridiculous. So bravo to Schwab for condensing it down from 2 days to 1, but it should be T0. It is really a stupid, stupid thing. But I guess this is part of the upgrade to the system. Now, if we get things on the blockchain, this is going to take a while. And I don't know who's going to be this backbone. I would love it if it's a project that I invested in. Like, I'd love it if it was something like Solana. If Solana went to the NYSE, to the NASDAQ, and said, hey, listen, we want to be your data, the backbone for the financial markets. We want all of your stocks to be listed on our blockchain, and we will be able to track where every single one of them is. We'll know exactly who owns it. There's no mistakes on it. You can all keep self-custody. I mean, imagine a day, everybody, where you walk in and on my little thumb drive here, I can say, oh, I've got 1,000 shares of Apple. I've got some Intel, Microsoft, and oh, I got 5 NVIDIA shares. And I own it. Because if you had all of those things sitting at your Schwab account, your E-Trade, or anything like that, you don't really own it. You have an IOU, and that could be seized or frozen at any time. So to me, very cool to see this innovation coming. I think in probably about 5 years, I think all of our stock exchanges will be on a blockchain, and we can now buy and sell those from each other. So if I wanted to, let's say that Joe here goes, hey, you got some NVIDIA, right, Maya? So I'll buy it from you. You know what? I'll sell you my NVIDIA. And now we can go person to person with transactions. As long as it's recorded on the blockchain, it shouldn't be a big deal. That, to me, should be the way that it is. Now, we can still keep them on those exchanges if we choose, but we should also be able to have self-custody, and blockchain will be the backbone for that soon, I think. Let's see. It's like the banking system put hold on your deposits. Oh, yeah, exactly. That's another big one, Joe, is the banking system does put holds on your deposits. And it's like, not only do they put deposits like on checks, but I've made deposits at the ATM of like $10,000, and it's like, okay, we're going to put a 5-day hold on it. What's the hold? It's cash. You're going to verify that all the bills are real? Like, come on. It should record that automatically. It drives me absolutely nuts. But you know why they do that, Merlin? Record that 30% tax cut to daddy government. Yeah, true. Yep. And that will probably be an area of contention where we won't be able to send directly because, the tax evasion aspects of it. But as far as a record-keeping system that's fast, transparent, and stable, blockchain's much better than most of the systems we have in place today. Solana has had an issue of crashing, but it's gotten better and better and better. At some point, I think all of our databases in the U.S. will be blockchain. You can call and push the issue. I do. Which issue? The holding your trades for a certain period of time. Yeah. I've always been of the belief that they're doing that because they're actually using that money for like a few days for free. They're earning interest on it for a few days for free. I want to own some NQs and keep them on a thumb drive for years, but contracts expire. That's true, but you could buy, triple Q shares. You could buy QID, SDS, these leveraged ones as well. All right, so let me get through that. Life on your terms. Now, I don't know if this is actually a person. A lot of times people that make comments, I think, are bots to try to get you to click on who they are and you see what they're posting. But this was on a stock called UMA. Now, I don't know really anything about UMA. It is the UMA Converter LTD. So, Life on your terms on YouTube put this one out there. And again, for anybody here, if you ever have a question about anything to do with financial markets, just put them underneath any YouTube video. On my feed, it will show me the most recent comments, so I'll know what came through. I usually take them, put them into these PowerPoint decks, and make sure I get to you, get your name on the screen, etc. But get the attributions out there to you. So Life on your terms says, what's your thoughts on UMA? Look, I don't know what they do. I don't know anything about them. I can tell they did an IPO last year in December. Actually, 2 years ago, December 2022, they did their IPO, and they look like they're falling apart. So my opinion of them at this point, just looking at the chart, is leave it alone. Okay. Now, again, I said the same thing about Canoe, but I've dug into Canoe. I like the product. They actually have something. Therefore, that's why I'm taking that chance. With this one, I have no idea. I don't know what UMA Converter does. Right now, I don't like it. It's not a good-looking chart. It looks weak. Pretty much every single day, just dropping. And yeah, I would stay away from this one. Now, what would make me change my mind would be if all of a sudden price started to curl up, stop dropping and making new lows, and actually start to make some new highs and turn the corner. If I started to see, let me see if I can do this on here. I'm not good at the trading view like I should be. If I see something that looks like this from UMA, right, and I see this start of action, now I might actually buy into some. But I have to see it turn this corner, right? It can't keep dropping like this. Otherwise, to me, it's just dead in the water. So that's what I'd be looking for on this one, is it to turn the corner here and start to show some higher highs, higher lows. That's all I can say. UMA for Life on your terms. Next one. Sorry, I'm just rifling through here because some people are like, you don't answer my questions. Like, guys, I get a lot of questions. I apologize. And sometimes I come through with a show topic that I want to talk about, but viewer questions are more important. So, Michael, I think this is the creator of my TraderMerlin shot glasses. Again, thank you, Michael, very much. I appreciate those. I use them regularly, believe it or not. I might actually have a shot this weekend. Is PANW a buy? Now, this was sent in a couple days ago, but let me go and look at PANW. Grand scheme of things, I sold puts on it this initial drop. I had the 245 puts, which expired worthless today. And yeah, that was another good one. That was over 1% as well for just a couple of weeks. As far as buying into it, you've got to love the trend that was in there before the big drop on their earnings. From 2023 on up, it looks absolutely fantastic. And I would have said, just looking at the big picture, I think it's probably a buy at, actually right where it's at today, which would have been this demand zone at 281. And we gapped past that, so that kind of negated that. But I don't think there's really a demand zone here at 281 anymore. But if you like Palo Alto Networks, they are one of the major players in the space, then I would say go for it. I still haven't seen anything technically that makes me feel like I should be buying into Palo Alto Networks at this moment in time. It doesn't look that great. So maybe you wait a little bit longer and you wait for it to break this most recent high, which is right here at 292.79. If that starts to move up, then maybe you build a little bit of position, but it's still struggling after that earnings announcement, which they actually beat earnings, but it was their forecast going forward that declined. And let's see. Oh, man. So Mark also sent in a very long question on borrowing crypto. There was like 3 big questions on it. And I think next week I will do a specific segment on that. I don't want to flood everybody with crypto stuff because I know some of you just don't care. And we talked a lot about it this week, particularly because of what's been going on with Bitcoin in the whole sector. So we had a nice big pullback today as expected. When you have a move that's that extreme, you're bound to get some pullbacks. We saw Bitcoin significantly lower earlier today, but it's bounced back. Our low price today was 66,000. I've had some friends asking me if 68 was the buy point. Maybe you bought today. So Mark, I will get to your question on another show. And I think that basically covered all the questions that had been sent in. Now let me go back here. Solana would be the clearing agent. Yeah. Solana be the record keeping. I think what will happen is you're going to have a proprietary chain come up, a blockchain that comes up that it's not doing anything with anybody else. Like Solana, while they can do a lot of transactions, which is great for an exchange, the fact that so many other people can plug into it and open source, I don't believe that there's any way on this great green earth that the NASDAQ and the S&P, or NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange will allow an open source blockchain to be the house for all of their stuff. It will probably be what's called a private blockchain or a consortium blockchain. By consortium, what that means is you've got several people that are a part of it. So it'll probably be a consortium blockchain that's got FINRA, the SEC, NYSE, Amex, NASDAQ, and probably other global exchanges. That blockchain will probably serve as a global stock blockchain. And I don't know who's going to do that, but that's kind of what I think will happen down the road. I don't believe they'll use Ethereum or Avalanche or anything like that because it's too risky for them to do an open source thing. I think, right? They want the power and they want the control to do what they want with it. So that's good one, Pepe. Let's see. It's like the bank system. One second, I'm just reading through here. May is when they are moving all the TD Ameritrade accounts over to Schwab. I'm not too happy about it, but technically there is no reason for trades to clear there's no reason for them not to clear immediately. The only reason that they don't clear immediately is because of a legacy system. And we're witnessing that upgrade as we speak. It's moving slowly. People are fearful when you make big drastic changes to financial markets, which is why crypto has gotten such a shellacking from the banks and financial institutions. They hate it. But secretly, they're using the technologies and creating their own. I mean, JP Morgan's been going after Bitcoin and, it's a scam, it's a fraud. Yet there's a JP Morgan coin. There's actually JP Morgan has their own cryptocurrency now. That's nice. Yes. Look what's going on over here, but don't watch my hand behind the curtains. 5 commercials so far. Hope you're getting some. I'm not, Mike. I think I get a couple bucks. I think the amount of money I get from ads is like $100 a month. Ooh, I'm getting rich, folks. But hey, it pays for the hosting of the website and my and the podcast. So I guess there's that. Remember when you could hold your own paper stock certificates? Yeah. Margaret, I actually do have some stock certificates downstairs. I never actually owned paper certificates, but I bought some because I think it's just such a very cool thing. Yeah, you used to be able to you could take delivery of the share certificates, and that was your ownership. Is that not the same thing as cryptocurrency? Except the problem was I'd have to go to the company and have them send me the stock certificate. Well, now if we get to the point in the future where I think we're going, it's just going to be click a button and you can now have it delivered to you, and I can keep my stock certificate on this device and I own it. That's the way it should be. And if you lose it, that's on you, right? That's on you. I wonder if Schwab will keep the education tutorials. I like them. I don't know. I've never looked at them. I know that their platform is not as good, but it is what it is. Let's see. I knew Diamond was blowing smoke, ragging on Bitcoin and developing his own coin. Yep, exactly. We all know that. When I look at Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, I've mentioned this many times, those guys were always attacking cryptocurrency, always attacking Bitcoin. It's because they didn't understand it. I don't think they had any. I don't think they owned any of it. So, yeah, anyway. Tom, I've had a TD account and migrated to Schwab, and since it has margin, the 2-day float doesn't come into effect. Yeah, so are you registered as a pattern day trader? If you're registered as a pattern day trader, you already have T0, which is kind of stupid. You have to have over $25,000 in your trading account, and then you can elect to be a pattern day trader, and then you get immediate settlement. But if you don't have that, you have to wait 2 days. Just really kind of stupid to me. Yeah, Oliver says that's crazy. That's like when Charlie Munger bad-mouthing crypto, but on the back end, he was Charlie Munger. He has the Charlie Munger coin. Somebody made the Charlie Munger coin. He didn't make that coin, for sure. But here's what's so gross is Charlie Munger actually said at a conference that trading Bitcoin is like trading freshly harvested baby brains. Now, I think I'm kind of a weird person, but I don't think I would ever use that as an analogy for anything. What kind of sick, demonic person just is randomly thinking about harvesting fresh baby brains? What? Charlie Munger. Rest in peace, my friend, but good riddance. Diamond's deal maker, he should tell the truth about why he hates crypto. Yeah, good luck, Margaret. Getting people in the financial world to tell the truth, as you've all learned, one way or another, is a very challenging thing to do. I was watching a 2020 episode, and one of the main character, securities fraud, just lying to people, just trying to get people's money. Be careful. I have a gentleman who's reached out to me on Facebook, which I'm surprised I even reacted. I usually don't use Facebook. But one thing to keep in mind, everybody, please, if anybody has any sort of celebrity clout or influencer clout in the financial world, there is somebody out there faking who they are. And a lot of you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. And I'll be honest, I am not a big social media person. I don't like it. This is where I like to do my stuff, is here. I will never reach out to you through LinkedIn. I will never reach out to you through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or, God forbid, WhatsApp and ask you how your trading's going and then start to tell you, hey, I could manage your money. Hey, let me get you into crypto. Hey, I would never do that. And the thing is, Brandon Wendell has these. Jeff Manson has these. You name it. Everybody has these imposters who are trying to steal from you. So be very, very careful. And if you ever think that it's actually me, then wait to come on the show and be like, hey, Merlin, are you on social media trying to get me to buy Bitcoin? No, I'm not. I'm not going to sell you anything. Don't ever send me money unless it's through like the tip function on this program, right? Don't do it, man. I feel bad. This gentleman lost a lot of money. I don't know how much, but it sounded like a lot. To Sam. Right, Sam has an imposter out there, and as much as I hate Sam, I know that Sam wouldn't be that much of a fraud. So anyway, only through my OnlyFans page could do it. Yeah, that's it, or fans only, whatever it is. Yeah, that's it. As soon as I get done, that's why I have the other studios set up. I do a whole set of nude stuff. No way, not for me. Do you think Bitcoin will pull back to 50,000? That's a real tough one. It definitely has the potential. If you look at what the moving average is here, now not that I put that much weight on the moving average, but it has had such a huge rally up. And you notice the last real area of consolidation was right around 51,005. It could. I do think there is going to be a pullback. However, the big difference here is to have that big pullback, you need people to sell. And I think a lot of people bought into this ETF because they want to hold it and they're adding it to long-term portfolios. So I do not believe that we're going to see the same extent of selling as you would normally see on an individual security. The ETF thing, I still think has a long way to move to the upside and contribute to Bitcoin's rally. So is it possible that Bitcoin drops down to 5150? Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. I think you'll probably get down to 60,000. Will probably be the low point there. Here's the chart of it. Here's your sideways consolidation at 5150, but you look at 60,000, which is right where my cursor is at. That represents the tail. You have a long bottoming tail that happened on March 5th, just a week or so ago. That's where I see it dropping back off to. But right now, I think there's way too much money buying in. No timeshare being bought with me. Merlin recommends. Yeah, I mentioned poop in the front yard. You're right, Tom. Now you're making me seem like I'm the demented weirdo. I've always known I'm a weirdo, but demented. I'm not demented. Okay. What else do you guys want to cover? I think I covered most things. Let's just run through our markets here to see what happened. One of the surprising things, maybe not surprising because I kind of expected this to happen, but you look at our number one gainer here today. Look what's gone on with that 10-year. I mean, guys, we've had a over 5% increase in the yield this week. Now, it's still only at 4.3%, but we were, down at 4.05 at the beginning of this week. So it's a pretty big, it's a 25 basis point increase in a week is substantial here for the 10-year. Now, we are right at this pivot point where it sold off from back in February 22nd. We hit that level right around 4.325 and then sold off. So real curious to see if this momentum continues. It is making higher lows. It is making higher highs since this 2023 low. So all in all, it feels like we're drifting back up. And remember, the talk track right now is inflation is increasing. And if that keeps on going, that means that 10-year is going to add to that problem. So this is, we might be back on track to have another inflationary debate here. Let me just show you what some of the commodities have done. We'll go through softs particularly, and let's just look at them over the past, let's say, year, a little over a year. Right? I'll go back to the very beginning of 2023 so we can see these pictures. But here is lean hogs. Why is this important? Because I love bacon. I put bacon in my clam chowder. I love bacon. Bacon's up substantially, and inflation, maybe it's not the biggest weight in the CPI or PPI numbers, but bacon's up, or pork is up 35%, lean hogs, in the last 50 days. Cotton, right? You want to go buy some new textiles? You go back to November's lows. Cotton, and I'm just doing to where we are today, not to the peak. Cotton's up 25% in the last 88 days. You want to look at live cattle. You're talking about going to buy some ribeyes. I'm a nerd, guys. I look at the ads that come from my grocery store every Tuesdays when they show up to see what's on sale. Ain't nothing on sale right now. Cattle, live cattle, up 15% in the last 68 days. Oh, well, let's look at corn. Something's got to be going down. You're right. Corn has been going down. However, in the past 13 days, it's up to almost 12%. Wheat is the only one of my majors here that is just dropping and dropping. Oh, you know what? I haven't added OJ, and I finally switched my layouts here. So let me go to the futures and add an OJ. The frozen orange juice. Add that to my list here. Let's check out. OJ was so volatile. All right, so we had a big sell-off, but going back from those November lows, actually not even November lows, January lows, orange juice up 27%. Those are significant increases. Remember, it's this big sell-off that helped contribute to the decline in inflation, but now all of a sudden, those are just the soft commodities. Well, let me move this up here to my my appropriate position. And that was down here, sorry. Ay. It's tough when I try to reorganize everything. I just got everything finally cleaned up. So let's go there. Let's look at, then you look at metals. Talked about the metal resurgence. It's been on fire. We've seen, palladium futures having a real nice run. Nickel has been bouncing as well. You've got copper really starting to rip right now. Silver, of course, we've seen many times tearing, and platinum as well. So we're really starting to see some stuff surge. Now the big question is, do we see natural gas jump up? Well, here's natural gas staying low. But again, I think this is a very small weighting in the CPI and PPI numbers. How about RBOB? This is gasoline futures. Okay. Well, gasoline futures from December lows to where we are today, 37% increase. So I've been saying this for months. It's not like I'm like, hey, I told you so. But this, I mentioned at the beginning of the year, the most important thing is going to be energy, crude oil in particular, because of its impact to the inflationary data. And going back to those lows from December of last year to where we're at today, crude oil is up almost 20%. So we are going to see inflation numbers tick higher. The number that came out yesterday for PPI reflected that. And we'll see going forward. I believe in 2 weeks we get the core PCE price index numbers, but that'll be really important. And remember, if we start to see more inflation issues, markets are going to sell off. I kind of kicking myself for not of starting a short position yet. Usually I'm a little bit more aggressive, but I got burned on my shorts the last couple times, so I have not done that, unfortunately. Well, I'll keep you posted. The NASDAQ today showing some weakness. I talked about breaking those most recent lows. Well, the question is, which lows are you going to use? You can use this last week's turning point, probably a little bit too aggressive. Or you can use this one here, which is 17,839. That's probably a better metric. Better metric. Now let's go to triple Qs just to see. Right, I mentioned this last time, which was if we get below these most recent lows, which has kind of been bouncing off of, and we closed right at it today. Right at it, 433.74, and we're at 433.92. So a little bit more to drop here, and then all of a sudden, it looks like we may be rounding that bullish corner, going either into neutral or bearish territory. Now, keep in mind, we still have this moving average that's pointing straight up, 40 plus degrees. So this looks fantastic still. And that may act as a psychological demand level, but if we close below that moving average, I expect there to be a much bigger down move. So keep your eye on that. So inflation coming to a TV near you, I think it will become one of the hotter topics going into the end of the year. what's tough, this is probably the thing that Biden administration absolutely does not want. Because if it starts to show inflation, I can guarantee you that the Trump campaign is going to be going, see what happens? This is why you don't want to elect this guy. He said it was temporary. I'll fix it. That'll be the talk track that we're going to get sick of hearing as we go into the end of the year. But yeah, it will be a major piece to the political debate that goes on between our candidates. And yeah, it's definitely well above its 200, Oliver. That's for sure. Okay. That's it. I think I got pretty much... we didn't look at all of them. I'm not doing an hour show. Damn it, this is supposed to be a 30-minute show. Russell 2000, 0.31% up. Okay, I thought we'd actually see more of a follow-through to the downside today, but it did not. NASDAQ was your real weak one, down 1.17. You had the S&P also rolling over at 0.68, but the chart still looks good. Right? I'm not panicking at all on any of these market indexes, but the writing maybe on the wall here soon. This is what, on something like the ES, if I do start to build a short position, I'm going to start small. Maybe I'll buy some deep out of the money puts going into August, something like that, and expect this to roll over then, because right now puts are going to be cheap that far out of the money. Gold, all right, small little correction. You could still argue that's a bullish flag formation. If we break below these lows that we established on Tuesday, then all of a sudden the assumption will be we're going to have a pullback here even deeper. Dollar index did curl up a little bit, still just traversing sideways, and then crude oil down 0.27, but still for the week, a very nice, robust gain for crude oil. All right, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to wrap things up without even going to the earnings and economic calendar, because on Monday there is really nothing to speak of. We have five central banks reporting next week or giving rate announcements next week, which is going to be very interesting for all of you Forex traders and currency traders. For those of you who sent in questions that I covered today, who came through here? That was Michael G, the Shot Glass Man, Life on Your Terms, Joseph, Mark, and that was pretty much it. I think Mark and Eric asked me about my silver trade. So there we go. That's what I had for you guys today. Cheers to all of you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. By the way, I forgot the guy's name already. I've been watching these Instagram feeds, and I'm guilty of it because I've been watching too many of them. But there's so much bad news out there. Yeah, I won't be able to bring it up right now. There's a guy who works for, is it CBS? And he goes around the country and he just tells good stories. It's like good news. It's happy stuff that's uplifting. Steve Harmon, I think. Anyway, I'll get you that information there. It is St. Patrick's Day. Yes, Andy. St. Patrick's Day. Wear something green on Sunday. Do something fun. So cheers to all of you. Thank you. And if you have questions, things you want me to cover next week, put them down below any of the YouTube videos or email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. I'm also going to have Bill Addis on the program on Wednesday as we have our FOMC announcement then. So cheers, everybody. Take care. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.